Michael with Orange Moon here. This is Earl Parker. He owns Parker's Custom Ironworks. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, and we've got another weird project we're bringing to you today just to kind of go over and document it and show you that we never really know the steps until we get into a project. But behind us, you see these big sheets of aluminum back here. How big are those?
Those are 4x8 by 1/4 inch thick aluminum.
And then we have two other sheets over here that are same thickness, but they're 5x10. And what we're doing is, this one's going to be a Santa Claus that goes on the square, the town square, and it's going to have the faces cut out so little kids can put their faces in there and it's a photo opportunity. And then the other one's going to be a big Christmas tree. And so what we're doing today is we're starting out the steps. I'm going to come in with chalk and draw out the artwork on these panels. And then after I have the artwork drawn out, I hand it over to Earl, because I've learned to do the part of the job that you're good at, and do not hesitate to hand the part off to someone else that knows that job. Don't try to do it all. Then you have collaboration projects, and you make some good friends out of the deal, and just everybody get involved a little bit really helps out.
So, I would highly agree with that.
Yeah. And then Earl, after I get that chalk drawn on there and I hand it to you, what's the next part of the process there?
Well, I'll lay it down, set the plasma cutter up. We'll cut it all out. We plasma cut by hand, obviously, because we're going to trace over what he has drawn. And after we get it all cut out, we'll deburr it, grind it down nice and smooth. We'll figure out mounting hardware, how we're going to stake it, how we hold it down, because it's got to hold up to the winds and the weather. And then we set it off and we put a powder base coat on it for Mike to have a good base to start his actual painting process. Yes. Then I would give it back to Mike.
The powder coat is actually stronger than any paint we could paint on there, because it's actually baked onto place. And they also bead blast it to create a tooth in the metal for the powder coat to bake on. And then I come back and scuff up the powder coat, scuff it up real good. And then once it's all scuffed up, then I have a tooth for my paint that goes on top of it. And these are actually designed, we've been doing a couple a year, and they go up and sit on the square outside exterior for a month and a half, a year. Then they go into storage, but they're designed to last 20, 30, 40 years. So the city is actually making a small investment in this, and this is also a town that we're in all the time. Earl lives in this town. I'm in this town all the time, so I want to make sure we do a project that everybody's happy with. All right, I got the first step drawn out on the metal. Earl's getting ready to take it over to the plasma cutter and start cutting it out. So if you look, I kind of drew it out with chalk. It's on its side, and we're cutting out 1/2. And then he'll take the piece that he cuts off and flip it over on the other side of the metal, and then he'll have the template for the other side. And then he'll also take the same piece over to the other piece of metal that's in the background, this piece back here, and he'll cut this out. So we'll have 2 full trees, and then one will get cut in half, and it'll kind of be like a crisscross, so it stands up strong against the wind. So after I drew the chalk out, just to make sure how it's going to lay out, you can kind of see candy canes and stuff in there. I go back over it. I don't know if you can see that blue line I put in there. That blue line is the one he's actually going to plasma cut on. So we can wipe all the chalk off, and he has his cut lines now. At the top here, we dropped it down just a little bit because we're going to make a star that's separate that goes in a receiving tube on top, so the star can be added on after the tree is set up in the square. All right, Christmas trees are drawn out. He's getting ready to cut these. I just drew out the Santa Claus and the elves. It's hard to see everything, but you can kind of see I used a paint marker to draw over my chalk, and then this will be a face cut out for an elf's face. You'll see there's the ears and this hat on him there. Santa Claus will be down this area. We split it so that it'd be lighter to carry, because this stuff gets heavy. This is real heavy. Earl, how much is one of these plates? How much this weigh?
That's 175.
So that plate weighs 175 pounds. So we're going to cut a lot off it. It'll reduce the weight quite a bit, but it'll still be heavy. And then over here, you'll have your other little, this will be the elf girl here. And then you can see the outline of all the presents. Now, once this comes back from powder coat, I'll draw out the full image, and then I'll be able to start detailing this and turn it into something to look at. So the process so far is you have all your meetings, you have all your sample artwork, you draw it all up, and then everybody's in agreement. They raise the money, they pull the trigger. When they pull the trigger, we order materials. So with COVID and everything, that's been an issue because you never know what's going to be out at the store next. But luckily we were able to get all the metal. It's all aluminum, 1/4-inch aluminum. And I drew on with chalk on raw aluminum, you saw in the earlier parts of the video. Cut it out with plasma torch, and it leaves it real rough around the edge when you cut it with a plasma torch. So Earl had to come through and clean all the edges up, do all the welding, do all the grinding, and when his part of the job is done, he sends it to the powder coaters. Now the powder coaters put this bronze finish on here, and it's pretty thick. In mils, I would say it's a couple mils thick. And the next step, I've already started here. So this is super glossy. It's been baked on. Powder coat, I don't know if you don't know, it's a powder they spray onto the metal after they sandblast the metal. They spray the powder on there, then they put it in a kiln or an oven that bakes that onto the metal. So it's actually a better finish than painting it. It's the strongest finish you can get, really. And so since that's the strong finish, now this is too slick. I can put primer on here that gives me a good bite, but it'll never be good enough. And these are supposed to last 20 years or so, and they're going to be in and out only at Christmas time, but you don't know who's going to be moving them over time and all that. So the next step is to create a tooth on the powder coat. So over here, I've taken a DA, or actually this is an orbital. Got an orbital sander, you can use whatever. What you're going for is some type of scratch on here that the primer will be able to grab onto to give you your maximum bite. I use 220 sandpaper here to get a good scratch on there. All right, background is sanded and ready for a primer. I use the 4-inch rollers and I just take it right down in the bucket. 4-inch rollers fits inside the bucket. And this material is thin like water, so I like to pre-roll it out here to get any of the drips off the roller. Because with primer, you're not trying to change the color of that board. You're just trying to create an even layer that your paint adheres to. Don't mistake what the primer's purpose is. It is not here for a color change. It is here to make a bond between one surface and your paint. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and prime that real quick, and then we're on to the drawing phase. We got the primer on, and as you can see, it's not a full coverage. You just want primer on there to give grip to your next paint you're putting on. So primer is just a grip layer. That's why it looks all patchy like that. I've got to develop the artwork to where I can get rid of that line right there. So I'm going to use chalk. Oh, dropped my pencil. I'm going to use chalk because you can see it pretty good on this. But then once I have my chalk lines, I've got a pencil. I'll go back over the pencil. And the reason I do the chalk first and the pencil last is you don't want pencil lines out in the middle of a space that's going to be painted yellow, because then you got to put more coats on to cover the pencil lines. So I do the chalk to get everything where it goes, so I know where all my edges are. And then I've got helpers helping me paint the colors in this. So it's going to turn into a big paint by number. Then I'll do some airbrushing on it. And then once the airbrushing's done, this will be ready for delivery. Santa's on the field. It's up there on the courthouse lawn. And now we're starting the Christmas tree. So you can get an idea of the size of that Christmas tree. You can see the base of it there. You can see the star up top. And if I stand in it, you can see it's still 10 foot tall. I'm 6 foot tall, so that gives you an idea of the size of this tree. And then it's four-sided. So it has all these different angles in it that have to be painted all at once. And it has to be able to be walked around, still look like a Christmas tree. It's been cut, it's been ground, it's been powder coated. Now we're gonna sand it and prepare it for primer. Then we're gonna prime it, let the primer sit a day or so, then we're gonna come in and do all the artwork on it. Earl and I have a couple months in it now, and this piece has been on the square for a little bit because we had to hit a deadline for a parade they had. But as you can see, the kids can put their face in here, they step up on the retaining wall, and then the moms stand over there and take a picture of them, and that's what this one was all about. And then today we just installed the tree finally. So this tree is four-sided. Oh, also on the back of this Santa Claus, we pinned this in and used a flag hole with a pin on the back of the piece of metal to really stabilize this piece. And then there's other pieces that hold on this retaining wall. And then we have these pins in here so that we can actually take this apart so it's easier to carry, because this stuff is real heavy. But that's the fastening system that Earl came up with for keeping this in place, because it's public art. So public art, you have to always think about safety. People's kids climbing on this stuff.
Safety and security.
Yep. And so, if you want to explain to them the build on this one, Earl.
This one we decided to do it four-dimensional, basically, crisscross pattern. It's pinned, easy to take apart, lightweight aluminum.
Show the pins on there.
The pins, 5/8 aluminum bar, 6 inches long, 4 spots, so it's good and secure. It's got 12 anchor points around the bottom, anchors into the ground, and then we ended up, for extra security, put stainless steel cables, tethered it, mounting system at top. She's good and secure. It won't blow over.
No matter what you do, somebody's kid's gonna try to climb it, trust me. So, but we just delivered it and it's all finally ready to go. And if you guys have any questions on the build or on the painting process, just ask in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
If you'd like to see more artwork, please visit our website, orangemoonartstudio.com. And as always, remember to like and subscribe for more videos.